the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 23 of season 3, y'all know the deal. Got to talk to you about a few quick things. First off, if you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. And if you happen to be tuning in to today's episode, but don't typically watch YouTube videos, you can follow us on Instagram and still stay in the know with everything going on with the Detroit Pistons and your favorite Pistons podcast, Revved Up 906. There is a link in the description below this video to our Instagram. Click that, follow us, and we post debate topics, hot takes, and clips each and every week. Try to get 2 to 3 clips out each and every week so you can still stay in the know with everything going on with the Pistons without tuning into our long-form content. Also, we are wrapping up our season evaluation series, and it's been really fun. It's been, a lot of great things to talk about with the Pistons, but make sure to comment below your comments, questions, concerns, hot takes, because we'd love to know what you guys have to say. Just because we make the notes doesn't mean that you guys, should have a voice too. So we'd love to know what you have to say. Let's get into episode number 23 of season 3. And Ryan, we're wrapping up the season evaluation series. It's been a blast, and we're wrapping it up with 2 of our favorite guys, Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. And these guys kind of had polar opposite seasons. Cade, for the first time, dealt with little to no injuries, playing nearly the whole season, and just really had an absolute stellar season on all aspects of an NBA career. And Jaden Ivey had some struggles, had some rough patches as far as, injuries. But as far as on the court, we're going to see that he had a great season. And so we're just going to kind of start off with talking about Jaden Ivey and his 24-25 season, talk about the statistics, positives, negatives, comments, and then best game of the season. We'll wrap up with a final grade on the season. We're going to do that with Cade Cunningham too after we wrap up with Jaden Ivey. So just to note, Jaden Ivey's season was ended early with a broken left fibula. He played in 30 games, averaged 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Just for reference, the season previous, he averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists in 77 games. Also, one thing to mention, Ryan, is when talking about Jaden Ivey's career as a basketball player, hasn't dealt with many injuries. So it's going to be interesting, the return of Jaden Ivey next season, and to see, okay, is he able to get back into the swing of things, because in years prior, broken fibula will end guys' careers. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what Jaden Ivey does, because he's not a guy that deals with injuries. Ryan, in those 30 games we saw Jaden Ivey play, we saw the chemistry between Cade Cunningham and him get better. We saw his passing take a big upgrade, big uptick. What are some of your first thoughts when talking about Jaden Ivey's 30 games this season?
Yeah, so there's not much to go into because it's 30 games. But out of that 30 games, we saw a new and improved Jaden Ivey. So last year, we were sitting there going like, okay, he stepped up defensively. In his first year, he wasn't there defensively. So last year, it was his defensive mindset that really stood out. And this year, the defense was still there. It didn't go anywhere. It slightly bumped up from even last year, but his offensive mindset increased again. And so I think this year in the 30 games we did see him, we were seeing almost a complete Jaden Ivey. In that short span in the 30 games, we saw a player that was able to not only drive and facilitate like he had, but he also improved on his 3-point shot. He was starting to hit these shots that he normally wouldn't have hit in his first 2 years in the league. And then to see him improve that this past offseason rather, and really come into a full swing of he can't just drive, he can't just pass, he can also do all these other things. It's really impressive to me. And that defensive mindset that he gained last year with Monty Williams and co, he carried over. And just because JB Bickerstaff is a defensive-minded coach first, he's not offensive. He is offensively minded. Any coach out there is gonna tell. It's not one way or the other. It's obviously both, but there's one that's more prevalent than the other. And JB Bickerstaff, to him, his mindset is always defense, but offense obviously matters too, because you can't just sit here and not have any offense, because offense does win you championships, but defense matters too. So with that being said, Jaden Ivey going into this season knew that, okay, I have a coach that's defensive minded first. So he's going to help me out. He's going to help the rest of the guys out. And that means I can really focus on being what I was my first year in the league and improving on that. So I think the abilities he gained going into this season and showed us in the 30 games, averaging 18 plus points a game, and really just coming into his own. I think in that 30 games, I think that's really impressive. Obviously, we would have loved to have seen more out of him, more than just 30 games, because would there have been a dip in his play? Obviously, there's going to be a dip at some point. So, or would it have been on the rise? Like, who knows what could have happened with Jaden Ivey. But in the 30 games, in the small little sample size that we got him, I am really impressed with just the intangibles and the knowledge and just everything he carried over from his rookie season to his second season to now the third season. It's just he's starting to come together and be more so on the side of a complete player, and that is really exciting to me.
Well, and with the addition of JB being such a great coach, like you mentioned, you would think that Jaden Ivey would just continue to get better and better, like the rest of the team did throughout that season. We have to remember those first 30 games, Jaden Ivey was playing on a different Pistons team that ended up going 6 games against the New York Knicks. And when Jaden Ivey came into the NBA, we knew that he could get downhill. We knew that he could hit those fadeaway jumpers and finish at the rim at a stellar rate. The issue was the chemistry, the passing. How does he work within an offense? Is he a true point guard, or is he really just a scoring shooting guard? And what we saw in these first 30 games was him really work well within an offense. And in those 30 games, the Pistons thrived when Jaden Ivey was facilitating the offense alongside Cade Cunningham, because it made the game plan that much harder for opposing teams to come into Detroit and say, okay, who's facilitating the Pistons on any given night? And it's hard to judge that. And that's why that 1-2 punch of Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham was really stellar in the beginning stages of the season. So I'm going to be interested to see if Jaden Ivey's passing ability continues to grow, or is he going to sit around 3-4 assists a game, or is that going to kind of uptick? I imagine it upticks, because it adds a whole nother dimension that Pistons fans, opposing NBA teams haven't even seen yet from the Pistons. And I'm really excited about that, about, okay, what does this Pistons team look like when there's an MVP level Cade Cunningham and an all-star level Jaden Ivey, where they're both kind of working the ball, finding the shooters, getting the ball to Duren in the paint, letting Isaiah Stewart go to work, dumping off the pick and roll. Also, talking about the pick and roll, it's such a big aspect of the Pistons offense with Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Reed at times that last season. It's going to be interesting to see how the pick and roll works, because you have options at the top of the key there when you add a Jaden Ivey. And that's just a part of the game the Pistons didn't have this season, having a solid vet like Tim Hardaway Jr. So I'm really interested to see how that works. But Ryan, I think as far as the Pistons growing and getting better and better, I think that the biggest factor in that is Jaden Ivey getting better and better. Like, that kind of goes hand in hand, in my opinion.
To me, also, like, you look at this NBA Finals, you look at the roster that the Thunder have built. You have J-Dub and you have Shea. And that, honestly, if you were to compare that kind of team to any team, you could throw the Pistons in that mix, because J-Dub is obviously Jaden Ivey, and then Shea is obviously Cade. Obviously, all the two between Shea and Cade is different, but J-Dub and Jaden Ivey aren't that far off, honestly.
Oh, no, for sure.
But just the tandem, like, so the Pacers, they have to match up completely different against the Thunder compared to any other team in the East, because you have a situation where, like Cade, let's bring it back to the Pistons. So you have Cade, who, as you mentioned, if he is at an MVP caliber season, and you have Ivey, who's at an all-star caliber season, and you look at what we did this past year, how is a team supposed to match up with those two guys when you have to worry about the bench depth too? Because you look at what Jaden Ivey did in those 30 games, 18 plus points, and just 4 rebounds, 4 assists, etc. Like he was doing a little bit here, a little bit there, and then his scoring load just kept increasing. And you look at that, and then you combine that with what Cade did this past year, and you throw in Malik Beasley with his 3-point shot and his just ability of shot creation. You throw Tim Hardaway Jr. in that mix with his shot creation, his passing ability, his defensive presence. You throw all those together, and then that's not to mention Asar Thompson giving you 10 to 18 points a night, or Ron Holland giving you 10 points, or it doesn't matter who it is out there at all times. So you look at what we did as a team this season, and then you throw a healthy Jaden Ivey in that mix with what he started this season off with. Like, I don't know how you defend that. Like, how do you go in game planning? Okay, I'm going to game plan for Cade tonight, but then you have to worry about Jaden Ivey. And then you're like, okay, let's shift the focus a little bit. Let's game plan for both of them. But then you have to worry about Malik Beasley. You have to worry about Tim Hardaway Jr. You have to worry about Jalen Duren. You have to worry about Tobias Harris. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, what we had this year, and if you go back to the beginning of the year, and this is my one point, the beginning of the year, when you had Ivey in there, Malik Beasley looked like an absolute stud off the bench because you had to worry about Jaden Ivey. Then, come playoff time, you don't have to worry about Jaden Ivey anymore. You just have to worry about Cade. If you take Cade out of the mix, you should be able to compete with this team. And then that focus goes on to Malik Beasley next, because it's you got to slow Beasley down. If you slow Beasley down, he's going to kill you if you don't. And then Tobias Harris. And so I think just it's the umbrella effect. Once Jaden Ivey gets taken out of the mix, I think then it's like, okay, Cade obviously can't handle a double team, because I mean, what player can handle a double team? It's almost impossible when you have a guy who has a 6-foot plus wingspan up in your grill. Like, I don't know how you're going to manage that if you're anyone. But the point is, like, Cade can't handle that double team. Beasley is having a hard time getting open. Anybody's getting a hard time getting open because Cade just doesn't have that eyesight or vision to get that pass in there. So, like, if you have Jaden Ivey in that situation with the Knicks in the playoffs, I think it's a completely different series, and I think we win. And so I just think the fact of the matter is, with Ivey playing the level he played at, and even if you take out the play level he was playing at, if you just throw Ivey back in that mix with what our team did this past season, this team could have easily been competing in the Eastern Conference Finals, honestly. And I know that's a little bold to say because it's the Pistons, right? But I really think if Ivey was out there with how everyone else played, we could have been in that Eastern Conference Finals. Because let's say Jason Tatum goes down like he did, we'd be right there, and we'd be where the Pacers are right now. Because I don't think the Pacers could beat us with Ivey and the rest of the gang, but they can beat us when we don't have Ivey, and that just shows you how dynamic of a player Jaden Ivey is.
Yeah, and to your point, the Pistons ended up finishing 6th in the East by the time the 82-game schedule was done. I think a Pistons team with a healthy Jaden Ivey finishes 4th in the East. He's obviously better than Hardaway, in my opinion. And imagine having Hardaway coming off the bench with Malik Beasley, Marcus Sasser, all those guys. My goodness, that second rotation is absolute heat. And so I think the Pistons finish 4th with a healthy Jaden Ivey, but that could be a hot take too. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. Jaden Ivey's best game of the season came on November 17th in Washington, where he poured in 28 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and dished out 10 assists, his only triple-double of the season. That stat line tops his season highs in scoring, rebounding, and playmaking, making it arguably his best all-around game. Ryan, we talked about the statistics, the small sample size we saw from Jaden Ivey in his 30 games. As far as a final grade for the season is kind of tough to judge. I'm going to give him a B based on what we saw, what I wanted from him. He kind of matched all the expectations and things I wanted him to do in those 30 games. Obviously, you can't control injuries, so you can't really fault him for that. What grade do you give him? I give him a B.
So yes, it is tough to judge. Obviously, a small sample size, only played 30 games. But if we're judging based off of the 30 games in general, because it is technically his full season, I'm going to give him an A. But if we're going
Okay.
off of the whole 82 game season and the fact that he only played in 30 games, had the broken fibula and whatnot, then it has to go down to a B. But if we're judging solely based off the 30 games, at least in my opinion, it's an A just because he exceeded what he did last year and he was off to a very hot start. And he just proved to you how dynamic of a player he was in this third year in his career. So I think an A for me, just because he just proved that he was so dynamic.
Make sure to comment below your thoughts on Jaden Ivey's season with the Detroit Pistons this year and his 30 game sample size. We'd love to know what you guys have to say. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for through this season evaluation series. We finally get to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the great and powerful Cade Cunningham. And Ryan, when you look at the statistics, he did everything we could ever want and more. Let's get into it. 26 points he averaged, 9.1 assists, 6.1 rebounds per game across 70 games, while averaging 35 minutes on the court per Washington Post, ESPN.com, and StatMuse.com. To break it down for the listeners, he finished number 7 in the NBA with 26 points per game, so 7th in the NBA. He finished 4th in the league in assists with 9.1 assists, 6.1 rebounds per StatMuse, and his field goal percentage for a point guard, 47%. Ryan, he is so efficient. He does everything on the basketball court a guy could ever want. I also recently saw an interesting comparison that I'm going to run by you soon here, Ryan. But first off, what are some of your first thoughts on Cade Cunningham's stellar season with the Pistons?
Last year, we had a lot of doubts on if he was Batman, and I can't believe we had those doubts. It's because tough. This year, he's not just Batman. He's like the whole DC league.
I like that.
What he did this year, and just I don't see last year. You're thinking to yourself, okay, how can he improve on what he did scoring wise? Because he was already scoring at a pretty high clip, and then he bumps it up again, and I'm expecting him to bump it up again next year. Even with a completely healthy team, I think he still hits that point margin up and up and up. The rebounds. 6 rebounds a game, like Cade, come on, man. I know for a fact that number can increase still. I mean, he's 6'7". So like that number can still increase. Assists, 9 assists a game, that can definitely increase still. He was looking like John Stockton out there, dishing the ball. But I mean, I guess you could say the better comparison would be Magic Johnson. So yeah. But seriously, what he did in scoring wise, assists, rebounds, field goal percentage, like everything, he improved. It's like it's not even just the small, teeny tiny improvement from last year. It's like substantial. And that's the crazy thing because you look at last year and you're like, oh, Cade, you're actually pretty good. And then this year it's like, Cade is definitely in that MVP conversation right now. Like, what is going on right now? So what he did this year is why this offseason is going to be crucial for the Pistons and why everyone in the NBA is talking about the Pistons right now. Because I'm sure you've seen it. A lot of people have seen it. There's a trade speculation of Kevin Durant going to the Pistons and all that jazz. And a big reason why that's even taking place is because of this man right here, because of Cade Cunningham. Like I am just blown away by his season. He improved scoring wise, like everything. Um, when you needed him to hit a clutch shot, he was ready to go. You go look back at last year. You had that shot that he missed against the Heat, where you had the crunch time. You had the final seconds of the game. He misses that shot, and then full circle moment comes back this year against Miami in Miami and hits that bank three to win it. Like,
yeah,
that shows you when players hit those shots, you realize how truly great they are. When they don't hit those shots, you're like, okay, well, hopefully he turns it around. But when those players hit those shots, you realize, okay, he's truly great.
Oh yeah.
Cade Cunningham, obviously, if his career ended right now, is not in the Hall of Fame, and it's clear and evident why he isn't. But if you give him 10 plus years of what he's doing exactly right now, he is a Hall of Famer because he's pulling up Hall of Fame stats right now in his fourth season in the league, which realistically, it's not really his fourth because you had that season in which he had a season-ending injury, really only played in 10 games. So we're not even going to count that really. But man, what he did this year, just his scoring ability, being able to see the floor, passing wise, like his assist numbers jumped up greatly compared to last year. Yeah. And last year it's like, okay, Cade can pass. But this year it's like, okay, I'm expecting to place a bet in which Cade gets 10 plus assists every night because we know it's going to hit. Or you go points wise, like, yes, Cade is going to get you 20 plus points every single night. We're going to get that bet down. And we're just making a parlay of Cade going like, okay, he's going to give you 10. He's going to give you 25 points. He's going to give you 6 rebounds. Like, it was so easy to do that every single night because Cade just proves to you, like, it doesn't matter. He's that good. He's one of those players where it's like, you look at this season and what he accomplished, you're going like, okay, all bets are on him because he's that good. But yeah, so I am speechless for this year because, like, this is like a dream scenario, and it's not even the best he can be still. Like, he can be so much better than this. And that's what's crazy to me is you look at the stat line, like 26 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists rather, 6 rebounds, 47% from the field. And that's without Jaden Ivey out there, who we just talked about being a dynamic player. You throw him back in the mix. You throw a completely healthy roster. Let's say Dennis Schroeder stays. Tim Hardaway Jr. is back. Malik Beasley's back. You still have Tobias Harris. Maybe you make a couple moves free agent-wise that really shores up the 4 position, which we desperately need help in. Like, Cade is going to go hog wild next year based off of this year alone. So what he did, it's just like, it's an awe factor for me because it's like you sit there and you look at it and you're like, wow, he really had a great year. And you compare that to last year, and last year was like, okay, Cade, you did good. And then this year it's like, oh my goodness, Cade, how can you improve on this? But we all can know and sit here that he's going to improve on this next year. So to me, it's an off factor on this season. I am going to be ecstatic to see if he can get to 82 games next year because 70, yes, sucks out of Cade. But I mean, the last 20 games or so, like, he wasn't playing all that much because we were a lock in the playoffs. So I understand that part, but still, and I would like to see him closer to the 82 game mark. If we can get him there, that would be fantastic because if you give him the 82 games, I think all those stats increase still. So it's just, to me, this season for Cade Cunningham, I am just in awe.
Well, and to your point about, there's a lot of talk with Kevin Durant coming to the Pistons, whether it's true, false, whether it's going to happen or not. With Cade playing so well and being this Batman style guy, Trajan Langdon can now know that, oh, I'm going to go get some of these guys because I know I can fit these guys within Cade's system and passing and offensive flow. And so, last season, like you said, we were challenging him if he's a Batman or if he's going to be somebody's Robin. Now that we know, like, okay, he's killer. Now they can go and be aggressive and get some players and make a push for a big run next in the following seasons. So let's talk about some of Cade's achievements this season. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of fun ones to start, and everyone loves this. He was an NBA All-Star this season, a reserve for the Eastern Conference. It was a major milestone for the Pistons, as we haven't had one since Blake Griffin. It's also really important for these young cornerstone guys like Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, see Cade Cunningham get those type of accolades, all-star, because then they can start trying to put themselves in that similar conversation one day. Ryan, he also got all NBA third team alongside Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Williams. Ryan, this is something that nobody's talking about, but when Cade earned all NBA third team, it triggered a bonus he had in his contract for $45 million, raising his total contract to $269 million. No one mentioned that when Cade earned all NBA third team. Trajan Langdon just snuck that in there for Cade as like a little treat. Like, yeah. And by the way, if you make all NBA third team, $45 million. That's absolutely ludicrous money just to be all NBA third team alongside Tyrese, James, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Williams. Also, most improved finalist. He was alongside Dyson Daniels, Ivica Zubac for most improved player award, ultimately finishing third per basketballreference.com. He set a franchise triple-double record with 7 during the regular season, breaking several Pistons record. First in Pistons history with multiple 15-plus assist triple-doubles. Added a third triple-double, 25, 10, and 10 in the playoffs, the third playoff triple-double in team history. It's only happened 3 times in Pistons history to have a triple-double in the playoffs. He was also obviously the key to the Detroit's resurgence, led the Pistons from 14 wins last season to 44 and their first playoff appearance in 6 years, helping transform Detroit into a true contender. We also see him become the third player ever in NBA history to average 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists at age 23 or younger, joining Oscar Robinson and Luka Doncic. My goodness, man, we have an absolute stellar player for the Detroit Pistons, Ryan. I'm sure you have a reaction to some of these. What stand out to you the most?
To me, what stands out is just the fact that he became the third player ever to average 26, 6, and 9 at age
under
23 or
23.
younger.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that to me, when you're joining Oscar Robertson, who is like literally human triple double machine, and then you throw Luka in there, like that's pretty good company if you ask me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the franchise, I mean, honestly, all of them is impressive. The 45 million is actually probably one of the more impressive things.
It's crazy. I'm shocked.
My question is like, okay, if that's all NBA third team money, what is all NBA first team money looking like?
Yeah,
like
it's got to be 70 million or more.
It has to be. Like if 45 million in this third team, what is first team? Is it double that? Like what are we talking here?
Yeah, when you look back a couple years when Blake Griffin was second team all NBA, imagine that paycheck for Blake. And he wasn't even that beloved by Pistons fans, and he must have got paid, absolutely paid.
I mean, he also isn't that good, but
it happened though. It happened.
It did happen. It did happen. It did happen. It shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. But no, I think what Cade did this season is nothing but remarkable. And like I said earlier, I really think he can have an even better season than this past year, which is the crazy thing because you look at all he accomplished in such a short period of time because he did only play in 70 games. It wasn't 82, it wasn't 80, it wasn't 75 or 72. Yeah. It was 70 games and he did all that. Like truly great players do truly great things. And yes, he isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer yet, but if he does this and keeps doing this, for the next however long of his career, like, yes, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And honestly, you throw in a dynamic third piece onto this Pistons team, that's only going to help Cade out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Cade is going to go hog wild with the stats if you got at an elite third option on this Pistons team. Because my goodness, I mean, Jalen Duren could be that. He's still scratching the surface. Asar Thompson could be that. He's still scratching the surface. Ron Holland could be that. He hasn't even scratched the surface yet. So I think if we add a third dynamic option onto this team, along with a healthy Jaden Ivey, Cade is only going to get better. And that's a scary thing. So to me, yes, the resurgence is massive. Oscar Robertson, fantastic. But the $45 million might be the most impressive thing.
Yeah, gnarly. Now we're at the section where we talk about the best game of the season, but Cade really had two games that were just absolutely stellar. January 4th, 2025 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. He scored 40 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. That's a team that played in the Western Conference Finals, may I add. And January 31st, 2025, he had 40 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Of these, the Minnesota game also featured 9 assists, close to a triple-double, making it the most well-rounded, high-scoring outing of his season this year. We mentioned before, Cade did everything and was everything that we could have possibly wanted from him this season. And he, may I add, also made it look pretty dang easy. And then another thing, and it was kind of happened right away at the beginning of the season when he was alongside Jaden Ivey, there was a maturity and growth on the court that was super noticeable. And I think that maturity and growth most affected his turnover issue. He really, started to slow down on the turnovers, start making the right passes, not throwing passes way down court on fast breaks, or he'd be on one end of the 3-point line, Jaden Ivey on the other, and he'd try to make those cross the half court passes that just did not work. So that was another big thing when talking about the improvements Cade Cunningham made in winning basketball he played. He really cut down on those turnovers, and it was huge for the Detroit Pistons. Ryan, one hard moment to watch this season with Cade Cunningham actually happened during All-Star break during the 3-point contest. It was kind of brutal. I'm kind of surprised he was in it. He shot so efficient. That's why they put him in there. He had 16 points and finished 6th amongst the 8 players in the 3-point contest. I remember being somewhere in Marquette. I think I was at a sports bar here in town and watching it, and just, a couple of the people we were with knew I was a Pistons fan, and they kept looking over at me like, what is happening with Cade right now? He's missing every single 3. So I just remember that being kind of a tough moment of like, oh man, this is kind of brutal. Ryan, before we wrap up today's episode, we're close to giving Cade Cunningham his final season grade. We got 3 minutes left on Zoom. I saw a comparison recently. I don't know who it came from. I'm guessing it was a TV commentator. They brought up how they see a lot of similarities in Cade Cunningham and a young Kawhi Leonard. We talk about a lot Cade Cunningham with Kevin Durant, with Grant Hill, former Detroit Pistons player. But they said that the way Cade moves on offense, finds the passing lanes, it was showed and then also the fadeaway jumpers and how the 3-point shot is kind of coming around. It reminded them of young Kawhi Leonard. What are some of your thoughts on that? I thought it was interesting. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
That's weird.
It is kind of interesting.
That's weird. I don't think I've heard that before. Wow, I don't know what to think on that.
I mean, obviously, Cade defensively isn't quite there as Kawhi, obviously. But as far as like height, they're kind of there. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is like a tree trunk. Cade's definitely not like a tree trunk guy. He's less physical. But like I was watching some of Kawhi's highlights recently. I can kind of see the movement and the way he slows the game down. But I mean, as far as like overall basketball, I'm not sure if it's there.
Honestly, I don't see it. because they're just two completely different players. That comparison seems to me like people are just trying to get attention, because that's just random. Like Kawhi Leonard is a defensive-minded first player. Cade is not a defensive-minded first player.
No, hopefully
Kawhi his passing ability is one of the best by far in the league, so I can understand that. His shooting ability, honestly, they're pretty close shooting wise, because Kawhi can't shoot really. Cade can't shoot really. So I guess from a shooting perspective, their passing ability, I would say, yeah, maybe more offensively they match up pretty well, but defensively it's completely different. Because I mean that to me, if you're comparing those two players, that it's not, maybe it's praise on Cade, but that is a knock on Kawhi Leonard. Because if you're going defensive minded first on Kawhi Leonard, and you're saying that, but Cade just isn't as good as Kawhi is on defense. So that to me is like a knock on Kawhi. If I'm sitting there on my couch and I'm hearing that I'm getting compared to Cade Cunningham, I'm sitting there going like, okay, offensively, I'll take that, but defensively, what the heck? Come on, people! Like, I'm good on defense. So I don't know. It feels weird. It just doesn't feel like a natural comparison. But I mean, who's to say, really? I mean, let's look at the highlights. Let's put them next side by side. Let's see what happens. But I don't know. That's just weird.
All right. So we talked about the statistics, talked about positives and negatives, his rough all-star 3-point contest appearance. Ryan, final season grade. For me, I'm giving him an A+. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it has to be an A+. I don't know what else it would be.
Gotta be.
Because I mean, I guess you could make a case that it's not the best out of Cade because it was only 70 games. If you were to be picky, but you know, I'll be picky. I'll give him a 99.9%. So that would be like, I mean, that's. I'll give him an A. There we go. Yeah, okay. Soft A+. Soft A+.
Like it's not like like this is all of an A+. Just just A+. You're just on the border.
Yep, just on the border.
I like that. I like that. So that will wrap up our season evaluation series. It was a lot of fun. It was our third time doing it. And I'm looking forward to already doing it again next season. I'm hoping when we do this again next year, we're going to be talking about a few new players on the Pistons that are pretty exciting. And then also we're going to be talking about Ron Holland, who finished up his second season. Sar Thompson, who finished up his third. Cade Cunningham coming off a $45 million paycheck. I think there's going to be a lot of fun things to talk about next season. And thank you guys for being along the ride of this evaluation series. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, make sure to click on our YouTube profile picture. It'll go right to our videos, and just go and make sure to watch those evaluation series episodes. We covered each and every Pistons player. So make sure to do so. Now that we're done with season evaluation series, I think we're going to be talking about possible free agency pickups, possible trade options. We're going to slowly but surely here be talking about some draft picks the Pistons can take. Obviously, the draft isn't that exciting now that the Pistons are winning, but we'll still talk about it a little bit, see who the Pistons might take. And with moving on, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.